Do This podcast is part of the Win, Make, Give podcast network. Chad Hyams sits down with Robin Martin, a Philadelphia real estate expert, to explore rapid team building, lead conversion mastery, and the power of curiosity in sales. Robin shares his journey from novice to leading a successful team, emphasizing the importance of understanding clients' perspectives and leveraging AI and video content in real estate. This episode is a must-listen for anyone keen on unearthing the mathematical and strategic approach to thriving in real estate. We hope you enjoy this episode of the Do This podcast, presented by Brivity.
Hey everybody, Chad Hyams here with this week's Do This from Brivity. And I'm excited. I'm excited, one, because we have an amazing guest this week, as we do every week. And two, I'm excited Bob's on a plane, right? So I love Bob. We all love Bob. Folks, Bob knows Brivity backwards, forwards, inside out. He is a master of it. Yet sometimes it's fun when Bob's not here because then I don't get interrupted with silly questions that he wants to ask. I get to ask what I want to ask, which is what I know you as the audience want to hear. So we want to welcome this week joining us. It's Robin Martin. Robin, thanks for taking the time and joining us this week.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm a fan, and now I get to talk to you in person. It's super fun.
Well, let's have a good time while we're here. Robin, we don't do bios. We don't read all that stuff. I want you to describe yourself, who you are, where you are, why you are. Tell the audience whatever it is about Robin they need to know.
You got it. Well, first of all, I'm a proud dad of a 13-year-old daughter, so that's probably the most important thing. But I lead a team here in the Philadelphia area. I've been in real estate since 2019. Started a real estate team in 2020, back when I thought I knew everything. And we've been grown to about 14 agents. We did about 61 million in volume, on track to about 82 this year. And have an amazing crew of agents, and we're just building big things over here.
Love it, Robin. You know, you started that off. You connected to my heart right away. I am a girl dad as well. Mine's 25 though. So before you know it, blink, yours will be there too. And then you broke my heart because you mentioned you're in Philadelphia, and all I can say about that is go Giants and go Blue Jays, right? I like to remind my Philadelphia fans, even though you're more recent on the football side, we got to take advantage of you guys nicely a few decades ago in the World Series, and I will always remember it fondly. So take that. Okay. Let's get to the important stuff though, Robin, that real estate stuff you talked about. You mentioned that you got in 19, and by 20, you already were putting together a team.
Yeah.
Let's look at that. I mean, that's fast. Did you just hear someone that said they did it, so you said, I'm going to force this to happen? Did you just naturally grow so fast you needed a team? Was it a disaster in 20? Of course, COVID coming along, that then it blew up and you've started all over. Take us back to that. And too many people sometimes go too fast. I want to hear about what your experience was with that. I had a team within a year.
Yeah. Well, I definitely went too fast. So when I first got into real estate, it seemed a little bit like magic. Some people were successful, some people weren't. And I didn't want to wait my turn. So I started calling expireds, and what I lacked in skill, I was able to just kind of brute force with just time and dialing. And so I started a team with an amazing agent here in Philadelphia, probably about 4 months into real estate. And I was on their team basically for the first year. And a couple of us were basically their ISA department. We created opportunities for their agents. I kind of found a little back road. I was licensed in New Jersey, and none of them were. So all the leads in New Jersey went to me. So that year I was able to close 27 deals in New Jersey and produce, my team and I were able to produce about 100 more for the team that we were working with. And then right around 2000, I thought to myself, why don't I just start my own team? So I did. And that first year I worked 300, I took 4 days off and I worked 12 hours a day. and I lost $6,000. So that was my first year running a team. In retrospect, I had a lot to learn, but sometimes we just have to learn by bumping our head,
Did you blow it up, go back, and then restart later? Or did you just keep pushing through and take on some new lessons so that team kept finally growing to what you have now?
Yeah. Well, I kept pushing. I think I had a very patient wife. I think that was the first part. But when you start a business, you get paid last. So I had to make sure that everybody else was able to achieve their dreams. And I always kind of believed in that as a template, is that you help other people achieve, and eventually you get to achieve as well. And that was kind of my story of starting a team. The next year, I actually took 8 days off, and I was able to make $17,000. So, things were really turning around. But by year 3, we had really kind of figured things out. Year 4, year 5, year 6, and now here in year 7, we were able to make it work. So I just kind of learned by doing everything the wrong way first. And I had some really amazing human beings in my world that allowed us to kind of build something incredible.
Yeah, thank you for being honest and sharing. You said something in there I thought was really powerful. We got to pay others first, right? Everybody hears this. There was a big following of profit first when the book came out and all of that stuff. Folks, it's a great concept. You got to pay the people who you are employing before any profits going in your pocket. Let's be very clear on that. And Robin, I love the mindset you have, which was by helping other people achieve. It's the old Zig Ziglar quote, right? You get anything you want by helping others get everything they want, however it actually goes. And it was clear in you, and you pushed through. So kudos to you on making that work. Now let's go back. You were making a lot of calls. You said at the beginning, you stunk at them, yet you just did more than everybody, that the numbers still worked out in that situation. That's not true anymore. You've become really damn good at lead conversion now, correct?
Yeah. No, I think that's our team's superpower for sure.
So let's talk about that. Tell us a little bit about lead conversion, about what you mean, the sources of the lead. I mean, sure, my best friend gave me a referral of their best friend. It's easy to convert that lead, right?
Yeah.
Yet you guys are converting leads all over the spectrum, correct?
Yeah. I think that in the beginning, when you don't have any money, you don't have a lot of leads. And so the reality is you have to create them for yourself. And so that was expired for us. And honestly, we just don't know any better. So we called people 60 times before we gave up on a lead. And so if you have a slow trickling of leads, but you have to call them all 60 times, well, you got enough people to call. And so the reality is that my numbers were terrible. It was like a 5% pickup rate, 125 contacts to an appointment. In the beginning, it was somewhere between 2 and 3 appointments to a signed contract, and I probably closed 2/3 of those. So to a closed deal, it was thousands and thousands and thousands of dials. But it didn't matter to me that it was bad. It was bad math. It just mattered to me that it was math, that it was repeatable, that I actually had a solution. And I did the math. I called for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. I could sell 32 houses. And 32 houses, I know I'm not going to fail. And I fell a little short that first year. I did 27, but like the path being in the math was a big piece of the puzzle for me from there on out. And that's kind of what we talk about here on our team. So it doesn't really matter what your skill set level is. If you're willing to brute force it enough, you're going to win. And that to me is really cool about real estate in general, because that's fair, right? Like I could shoot 100,000 jumpers, but I promise you, I'm not going to make it to the NBA. But in real estate, like even if you are not as skilled as other people, you can brute force your way to success. And that's something that I think is really, really important. But as we went along, we just learned how to become more skillful. And we did this by practicing. Go figure. That's my 13-year-old daughter. She's always like, why is that person so good at this? She's always asking me these questions. And I'm like, well, they probably practiced a lot. So we did role play for 45 minutes a day, every day for the first 2 years that we existed. And we also just got some really good coaching. So we come from a place of curiosity. Like we use a framework called PPO. The first is perspective. And until we understand your perspective, it's a red light to go anywhere else. You can't close. You can't offer anything until I understand the way in which you understand the world. And that requires a lot of questions. And so we kind of use each step along the way as a red light, green light. So me asking questions, understanding the way that you view the world. Once I understand your perspective and confirm it for you, then I'm invited to move on to the next step and basically understand your current plan. And once I get confirmation that that's your current plan, then and only then have we earned the right to offer you a different opportunity. And when we got good at being able to ask the right questions and being curious and not chasing the rabbit and going deeper, we started to realize that our conversion rates really, really jumped. And that's, I think, practicing that and working on that is a big piece of how we're able to not have to work as hard as I did to be able to get those kind of deals with our agents now.
You said so much in there, right? Folks, if you're not paying attention, I mean, I love that the path was in the math, right? And you said it didn't matter that it was bad math. It's still math, right? Okay. If I have to shoot 10 free throws or I have to get 10 in, yeah, Michael Jordan's going to stand there and he's going to shoot maybe 11 on a bad day. Me, right. I'm going to shoot about 1,000 before I get 10 of them to go in. It doesn't matter. The math is still the math. I'm still going to get 10. His conversion rate's just better than mine. We can grow to that. So folks, if you're newer or have newer agents on your team, remember, Robin just laid it out as clear as day for you, right? There is math. It might not be the math you want, where Bob says 1 out of every 37 conversations becomes right? Yours might be 370 conversations. Now what Robin's saying is, are you willing to do the brute work to say, okay, I'll make 370 conversations because I'm not good enough yet and I'll get better. Loved that. Wanted to make sure that nobody missed that you said that in there. Then you brought up this PPO. It was perspective, plan, and then offer of a different avenue. I think a lot of people out there understand figuring out what their plan is, right? So what are you going to do? Why is your house on the market? Why was it on the market? Whatever their bad question might be in that situation. And then the offer of, let me help you. Okay. Perspective. I don't think 98% of real estates out there are caring about any perspective that isn't their own, Robin.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit more about that. Give me some of the questions that your team has been trained to ask to really be able to find out the perspective of the person on the other end of that phone.
Well, I think it starts with a mindset, because I think if you're, there's a guy named Robbie T, who's a great lead converter, and we used to coach with him, and he instead of the ABCs of sales, instead of always be closing, the alternative is always be curious.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea of just being curious about the human being that's across from you, I think is a huge piece of the puzzle. And so that's kind of step one, is just being curious about the human being that's across from you. What's their story? Like, what makes them want to move? And the more that we've been in real estate, the more we realize that, like, almost all movement is caused by some significant life change, both positive or negative. And so really understanding them and what challenges they're facing and what needs they have gives you an inside track to be able to offer them something that's uniquely for them. So the questions that we ask are really related to what's uniquely true about you. And so we just learn to kind of ask pretty basic questions. We don't have a lot of scripting here, but we ask some pretty basic questions. How long have you been looking? What's been getting in the way for you? If like my favorite is if you could wave a magic wand, whatever question you want to ask, right? It gives them freedom to be able to not be based in the present. But what's the key is whatever their answer to those questions are, which are almost always going to be surface because that's how human beings are. I went to buy a pair of pants the other day, and I was walked in to get a pair of pants. I could not find the pair of pants, and a salesperson came over to me and said, "Hey, can I help you?" And I said, No, I'm good. And I wasn't. Clearly, been wandering around the store for 20 minutes. But that's just we're all preconditioned to give surface answers in the beginning. And so it's the follow-up questions to those questions, which I think are really key. So if I say, hey, would you, when's the ideal time for you to buy? And someone says, I don't know, maybe next year. Like most people stop there. Oh, great. I'll call you next year. Sounds good. Have a good day. The question is what's important about next year to you? Or I can confirm that and say, great. So if the perfect property came on the market tomorrow, that's something you wouldn't be interested in, correct? I want to know why. I want to know why next year. And I think a lot of this comes from like doing intense follow-up, because if I don't understand your perspective, then all of the follow-up is going to be really annoying for you and hard for me because I don't have anything to say. But if I know what your perspective is, there's always going to be something for us to talk about when I get you on the phone. And so I'm kind of relentless and I have to understand, right? If you hang up on me and tell me to go jump in the lake, that's actually an improvement over not understanding you at all, because at least then I know where to put you, right? Like, to me, it's the follow-up questions, understanding like what's important to you about a year. Next year just seems it's the right time. I totally get that. Real estate's all about timing. What makes next year the right time? I just won't stop until I understand why you feel the way that you feel. And I think that the follow-up questions are the key. And so when we do role play here, it's not necessarily like, here are the 10 questions to ask. It's we train our agents in role plays to give up real resistance. Don't give me an answer until I've asked you 12 questions, right? Which is actually really how the real world does, right? Like that's really kind of what we do is we just go deeper. It's not super like it wouldn't sell a book, but going deeper until you have an understanding, and then saying, hey, Chad, it sounds like you want to wait until next year because your wife is retiring, and that's going to be the right time for you guys to downsize. Is that right? And then you say, yeah, that's right. And now I understand your perspective. And then and only then do I have permission to move on.
I love that. Robin, it might not be a great book. It'll be a hell of a pamphlet, though, you could write.
It'll be good.
And the example I give people, right? Robin, do you have a dog by chance?
I do.
Okay, so now I know exactly what kind of dog Robin has, right, everybody? All right, because I asked him the question, and he said, yes, I have a dog. I know that his dog is a big husky, right? I mean, did I guess right? Because I have no idea unless I start asking the follow-up questions, like big, small, purse size. I mean, right? Is it tough, boy, girl? What color, right? There's all these questions that we leave unasked, Robin, because we accept the surface answer because we feel like we did our job because we got the surface answer. And what Robin's telling you here, folks, don't go on to the second part of the plan that you can now give to that, right? Unless you unless you have gotten their perspective. We're not saying you got to find out, oh, by the way, are you Republican or Democrat? We're not saying, are you this or are you that? It's their perspective in regards to real estate that Robin and his team are working on. And even though he says they don't have scripts and it's not scripted, you can be sure if you sat there and listened to the room, the same questions are coming out from these people again and again. They just wrote their own scripts that now they're using regularly. Okay, Robin, that's some amazing stuff on lead conversion. And I have my 30, everyone knows we get about 30 seconds with our guests before the call starts. I said, what are we talking about? And I knew lead conversion was something Bob had said to me yesterday when he said, Chad, I'm going to be on a plane. Robin's team crushes that. Make sure he talks about it. Yet I saw the twinkle in your eye when you got to mention video and AI stuff that you've got going on. Right? So let's dive into that for the last 10 minutes that we have, whichever way you want to go, wherever you want to start with us. AI is the buzzword. Everybody's out there thinking they're using it. All your social media posts sound like crap, everybody, just so you know, because you're letting the AI write it and it doesn't sound like you anymore. Video, oh my God, I want to be Gary Vaynerchuk. I want to just sit around and make YouTube videos all day and then people give me millions of dollars. That's not how it happens. Robin, where do you want to go with something that I saw made your eyes sparkle before the call?
Well, I think AI, there's so many different angles and different ways to take that. But I think that one of the things that my 72-year-old mother-in-law, we're going on a trip to Alaska. We're going to rent an RV. Yes, I volunteered to be in the same RV with my in-laws.
I just want to confirm you're renting the RV in Alaska. You're not renting it in Philadelphia and driving to Alaska.
No, we're flying to Anchorage, renting.
Okay, good. Yeah, all right.
Going around Alaska. So my 72-year-old mother-in-law was tasked with like the campgrounds. Where are we gonna stay? And she came back to me and said, ChatGPT says that we should be in this campground, because she did a search on ChatGPT for the best campground for two 70-year-olds, two 40-year-olds, and a 13-year-old girl. That was her search, and that's how she found it. Now, I realized at this moment that Google's dead.
Yep.
And I started to think about how our future clients are going to find us, how they're going to like confirm who they trust. Because if my 72-year-old mother-in-law is trusting ChatGPT to make decisions about where our vacation's going to be, I knew that people are going to be making these decisions based about what agents they want to help them are going to be based on AI. And so I just kind of went off the deep end and really just wanted to understand at a deeper level how AI makes these recommendations. And so video is one of the largest, it's actually now the largest indexed source for AI when you ask a question. Like it used to be Reddit, actually. But now the videos that you're putting out are the #1 index source when people go online to ask a question about real estate. And so we realized that we needed to start a video. I personally a number of social media channels. We needed to start a YouTube. I hired a videographer. We've kind of gone off the deep end, but the point is that that is where AI is going to get its information to give back to the people that you want to serve. And so yep. You're right about everyone's videos. Like your video about I closed a deal today with the key, and that's not going to get indexed. So it is an AI waste of time. But anything that you put out there explaining anything about how real estate works will be indexed. So when someone asks a question, hey, is a conventional or
FHA loan.
Thank you. I forgot the name of the two most basic loans in all real estate. I really do sell houses, I promise. But the conventional or FHA, like which is the best? And the videos that you put out about conventional versus FHA will be indexed by that AI. So AI in general is just trying to look for trust signals. and the reviews that you have, the videos you put out, the blogs you write, they're all trust signals. The awards you win, and the easiest one is video. And actually, video has a higher trust signal with AI than anything you write, because AI, people trust videos more than they trust the written word. And so that was number one. That was like, we need to produce video so that we can produce trust signals so that AI can find us.
Folks, here's the thing. If someone asks you a question, no matter how many times you've heard it, go make a video about the answer, right? When someone says, well, what's the procedure? When someone says, do we need an inspection? When someone says, what's an appraisal? Why do we need the appraisal? When someone says, what if we want them to include the car, right? Whatever it is, go make a video about it is what Robin's telling you, because the AI is watching, or at least listening to all of the videos and saying, aha, here's the information that I need to share with the user who's asking me a question. The other thing he mentioned in there I want you to catch was reviews. If you're not getting reviews, go get them, right? Get everyone to review you. I don't care if it's your mother who's never bought a house with you. Ask her to write a review about just who you are as a person, right? Because it will come back. And folks, don't panic when you get a 4-star or a 3-star or even a 1-star, because you and I both know if you go on Amazon and something is 5-star rated, you're immediately suspicious, right? These were all bought. Someone paid for these reviews. Someone had to not like this, okay? So don't panic when you don't get a 5-star review. That actually is still showing trust that you're a real person. And there are 3 AIs that are winning right now, right? We know there's Claude is one that's becoming very popular. ChatGPT, which was the original. And then folks, listen to the name of the third one if you haven't figured it out. It's Google Gemini. Which one do you think's going to win when it's all said and done, folks? Make sure you're checking and having people check those for you. Robin, that's a great little tip about making sure that we're putting video out there for the AI searching, when we know that in a year, people are going to absolutely go there first and say, who's the best realtor in Philadelphia, or who's the realtor for my community, or who should I hire? You want to make sure your name's coming up in those conversations.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think sometimes we struggle with what to write. My team and I sat down for a 2-hour brainstorming session and came up with 387 video ideas.
Wow.
In 2 hours. Because it's just whatever your clients are asking you are the things that they're curious about, right? And so it's like any question that any clients ever asked you in the history of you being a real estate agent, that's great. And if it's your first day and you've never had a client, just interview another agent about questions that their clients ask them. And you'll have, we have, at this point, we have topics till rapture. We can really continue to do this for the foreseeable future. So,
and folks, as soon as something changes in your neighborhood, your area, your state, go shoot a new video, right? Here's the update as of May 14th, 2026. It's now this, okay? The only caveat I want to give you all is be careful. Remember, when it comes to things that are not in your area, in your lane, quote your sources. Don't start giving me interest rates. You're not lenders, right? Don't start telling me that it is mold or it isn't mold. You're not the inspector. Be careful with things like that when you're talking about them in the video. Make that one maybe an interview with somebody who is an expert to be part of your conversation.
Yeah.
Okay. I got 1 minute on the clock, Robin. Wrap it up. What do you want everyone to walk away with this call, remembering, knowing, whether it's the PPO again, whether it's more about the AI stuff, or it's something completely different?
Yeah, I just think that real estate is the only place I've ever encountered real parity. The reality is that no matter what your skill set is, you can be successful. And so your numbers are your numbers. They're certainly improvable, but your numbers are your numbers. And if you just are willing to put in that work, you can be successful in real estate regardless of your skill set. If your entire business is in service to the top of your funnel, and you just keep adding more and more people to the top of your funnel, you cannot lose in real estate. And that is what makes me love real estate. I love this industry, and there's very few places in the world where if you just want it and you're willing to work for it, you can have it.
Love it. Robin, thank you. That half hour went like that. I'm glad Bob didn't get in my way. Folks, maybe he'll be back next week. Maybe we'll have a new exciting guest. I don't know. They don't tell me these things until I show up and help you do this, just like Robin did today. Robin, thanks for taking the time with us.
Thanks, Chad. Have a great night.